Welcome to Live Healthy Louisville, where we dive into the heart of the city's health and wellness scene. Brought to you by Results by Design Fitness. We are going to bring you local experts, tips, and stories so you can live your best life right here in Louisville.
That's right. And today's guest is someone who we've interacted with quite often over the last few years. His name is Matt Hall, and he's the owner of Clean Eatz here locally in Louisville, Kentucky. Matt has an incredible story that he's going to share today about his journey, how he got into the nutrition business, and he's going to share the best tips possible to help you live your healthiest life here locally.
Yeah. So, Matt, I'm really excited about this one, man. I love Clean Eatz. You know that. You see me in there on a regular basis. But let's talk a little bit about what today's about. So, we are seeing more and more, or people are realizing more and more, the importance of nutrition. They know how important it is for weight loss, but more importantly, they're realizing how important it is for just their general health. But kids, work, craziness of our everyday schedules, lack of convenience gets in the way. What are some of the biggest obstacles you've seen with people starting a healthy nutrition lifestyle, so to speak?
Well, really, thanks for letting me come on to the podcast
Absolutely.
here. So, first off, I will say that, I am a certified personal trainer. Mm-hmm. I am a nutrition coach. So this is my passion. This is what I do. When you really look at convenience, a lot of people say, I don't have time to do, right? I don't have time. And I think, maybe if you look at it and you say, well, how much time do you spend maybe on your phone, right? If you look at I get the report every week on how many hours I spend on my phone. And I think maybe you look at it and say, okay, is it a priority, right? Sometimes. And I get it. I've my daughter's past the age of, me taking care of her now. But I do remember it was very difficult. They cannot afford it a lot of times. So, healthy food is too expensive. That's some of the other obstacles. They don't know how to do it, I think is another thing, right? I don't know, because they were never taught a lot of times. Even my parents, when I look at them and I start talking to them about eating healthy and some of the recommendations that they're trying to give me, I see why I grew up in a family that, that wasn't that healthy, from a physical standpoint. Yeah. So, convenience, affordability, and, knowledge, really, knowing how to do that, right? Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head there, because I think, from what we see too at the gym, like people are unaware of like where to even start, and they have no sense of even an inkling of what nutrition means. People say I'm choosing the right foods, and then we dig a little deeper and we oftentimes find like they're not even close. We spent some time with my wife's grandparents last weekend, and we were just kind of bumping questions back and forth on the drive home. And getting them to eat protein is almost a chore, but it's something that is relatively new. Just like strength training for longevity and for overall health is relatively new. So is incorporating high quality foods into a lifestyle, because people have been stuck in these trends of dieting or just eat less and you'll lose weight, and that's how you're supposed to get there. Now there's new information of medications and new fitness routines and things of that nature, and people are so lost because I think it's almost information overload. So I think it's important early on to figure out, well, where do I even start? Where do I find the expert? Who is the expert? What's actually working for people? What may be keeping the weight off? And I think that's where, people like you come in, Matt, because like you said, you do have that background. You are a certified personal trainer, and that became a passion of yours, but you wanted to dig a little deeper, I think.
Yeah, I think, Ryan hit the nail on the head, and you did as well. Is like they don't necessarily know what to do, but go into the convenience kind of side of it. I feel like, food is so readily available. You can go through a drive-through and get a meal in under 5 minutes. But when it comes to eating healthy foods, there's really not a lot of options in the fast food industry. So like what kind of, with Clean Eats and getting into it, like what were some of the gaps that you saw in the market that made you even want to do a Clean Eats?
Yeah, when you really look at what Clean Eats brings to the table, we try to make things very simple for them, right? So we portion size our food, which is very critical because we have portion distortion in this country. We eat way too much food. I mean, so what it has done now is when I sit down and the food that I'm supposed to be eating, that amount, people are like, well, that's not going to be filling me up. They've already convinced themselves that that's not enough food. I have to eat more, right? And so our caloric intake has just increased, but portion sizes have gone up 138% since the 70s. Wow. I remember when I was a kid, right? We didn't go out to eat that often, but when we did, it was a very small burger, small fries, small cookie, and that was for the whole entire family. And now when you look at it, I mean, you've got the big gulps, right? And the 64-ounce drinks. You have you look at Five Guys. If you've ever been to look at their the sack of fries, it literally is an entire sack of fries. This is not a little bitty fry that you can kind of get your fry fix from, right? And the burgers, everything is triple cheeseburgers with bacon and all that, and we're just consuming way too much. And I think portion size isn't a big thing that we've really tried to do, and then balancing out macros, And I think a lot of people are very confused. What is a macronutrient? Yes. How do you calculate a macronutrient? And, if you look, it's very simple. If you look at any type of product that's out there and you take the fats times 9, the proteins and the carbohydrates times 4, you add those 3 numbers up, it will tell you actually how many calories are in that food. Mm-hmm. And that's very critical for people to understand. I just want to count calories, right? Well, you have to understand really what is in that calorie, and that's very critical. So we balance out those meals to make sure that it's going to fill you up, give you the good proteins, fats, and carbs that you need. And then we really make it convenient. And that's one of the other things that we do. Try to take that excuse, I don't have time out, right?
Right.
With our prepackaged meals, you can have 2 to 3 minutes in the microwave. You can have a meal, and it's great we have aging adults that come in. And they can have a meal because maybe you ask, Mom, what did you eat today? Well, I had a piece of toast and a banana, right? Well, she got no protein in, right? Mm-hmm. She has no real good nutrients in of that, maybe a little bit in the banana or whatever, but it really is what she needs. She's not getting that nutrition she needs to really be able to go about her day. And that's the reason, she's really tired or she's lethargic, right? So really just trying to focus on, macro balancing, portion sizing, and making sure it's whole foods is very critical. Real all white meat chicken, real beef. We use some type of carbohydrates. They're typically some type of more of a lower glycemic, slower burning type of carbohydrate, whether that's the sweet potato fries that we have, or you can get some whole grain pastas, things like that. But it's also food that you like to eat. Now, because if you don't like to eat it, you're not going to do it, right? So we take some comfort food, we make it a little healthier, take some bad stuff out, put some better stuff in for you, and really try to make it easy for them.
Picked up on one, he's simplifying it, right? He's breaking down all these intricate pieces that typically take a whole lot of work, and you're presenting it into a meal that's tasteful, a meal that actually sounds good. Like, when I come in there and you have chicken fingers and sweet potato fries, like, yeah, you can get that at a fast food restaurant, but you're taking all that out of the equation as far as how do I cook it and what type of oil do I cook it in, and what type of meat is best, how can I get organic, whatever the case may be, and you're making it readily available for them. So simplifying it, he's making it readily available, and he's taking care of all the nerdy stuff behind the scenes, like the macronutrients for you guys right off the bat. I think that's king because even you touched on portion control. Even with places that we deem as healthy choices, maybe they do have a grilled chicken option with some rice and with some peppers. I'm thinking of some of the burrito bowl places, not to name any names or anything, but oftentimes that may be 2 or 3 meals packed into one for a lot of our members. So they may be making good choices. and they may be truthful when they say they're making good food choices. But the serving size, when it's handled properly and it's right for them and the macros are balanced, that meal may keep them just as full, but not overload them with calories and help them get to their goals quicker. So I think that's a powerful component of having something ready that's tasteful and it's already taken care of behind the scenes as far as what's going to be best for each person.
I love it. And I want to circle back to that here in just a minute.
Sure.
But first, let's tell the listeners a little bit about Matt, right? How, rewind, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, like what were some of the things that were different in your life, and what were some of the things that kind of led you down this path to Clean Eatz?
So we're going to have to go back just a little bit farther than that.
Okay.
But, I worked in the automotive industry for 30 years.
Okay.
I started on a factory floor, had no idea what I wanted to do in life. But so I went to high school, got a degree, and worked in that industry for 30 years. December 8th, 2009. So that would have been 20 years into my career. I woke up, I was smoking 2 packs a day. I weighed 175 pounds. I was very unhealthy. I didn't eat right. I had never exercised in my life. And I just woke up that morning and said, never again. I said, I'm going to take control of my life. And the first thing that I did was I stopped smoking that day. I went to the gym, and I was doing 2 a days for some months because I knew if I went home and I just went to the same routines, I would be back to smoking again. So I started training myself and been training myself for 15 years now. And so, people look at me now, I'm up to 235 pounds. I mean, I work out 5-6 days a week, thinking, man, this guy must have just been like that his whole life. And that is not the case, right? So we're all on our own journey. And I try to emphasize that to people is, today's a good day to start. When's your December 8th, 2009, right? When do you wake up and say, I'm done, right? I've got to take control of my life. And that really helped me. If I would not have changed my life that day, because I was working on my nutrition and fitness and in the health and wellness long before I ever even knew what Clean Eatz was. Yeah. So I tell young people, I say, because the saying is true. Find something you're passionate about and then find a way to make money out of it. I was working on something I was passionate about and never imagined I was ever going to try and make money out of it. And, it's very simply that I changed my life. Yeah. I made better decisions every day. I put myself in the way of success, and it found me.
Did you, on the onset of that tipping point, did you find that you fell in love with the journey at that point, or was it like a stepping stone to get there? Did you maybe incorporate the smoke-free part of your journey first and then start the fitness and then the nutrition came? Or was it kind of just a joint effort all at the beginning?
Well, I really am self-taught for the most part till like later on I got some credentials, right? But a lot of it was self-taught. So it wasn't like the first day I knew exactly what a macro was. It wasn't the first day that I knew all this, right? I started training myself and just absorbing information from, the internet, and, I was reading, I was listening to certain things. I was watching other people, successful people. And I was like, okay, I want to be that. I see what they're doing, so I start to mirror some of their actions, right? And so it wasn't all in at some point, right? It was a very slow, methodical thing, But you asked me, was it easy from the beginning, Joining the gym from day one when you've never worked out before is not an easy thing, man. I was so sore for weeks on end, right? I couldn't hardly move my legs, my arms, right? But there comes a point where there's a tipping point. And I can't remember what that day was or whatever, where it wasn't a chore for me. It was a chore for me to start missing the gym. And that really was the tipping point where, it wasn't where, oh my goodness, I have to go to the gym now. It's like, oh man, something's in my way. I can't go to the gym. And that really, I think everybody can get to that point. They just need to get, just go along the journey. And at some point it will happen.
How bad you feel until you know how good you can feel. Yes. like people the same way with nutrition, right? Like when you're starting to make good choices and you have good balance with your food, and then all of a sudden you fall off track, like you wake up the next morning and your elbow hurts, and the gut issues come back that you ignored previously because it was just part of you. When all of a sudden you have that freedom, have that light brought to you, then you can kind of look back and see the darkness a little bit,
I think the transformation too part of it is like really exciting because, looking at you now, like you said, people think like, hey, this guy's been like this his whole life. But the reality is you weren't. And I think we sometimes forget the journey. We forget about the transformation that actually happens in the middle. We think it happens at the end, but it's all those little life-changing choices that you made during that whatever amount of year process that has allowed you to become who you are today. And yes, when you find something you love, it's like you never work a day again, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we've taken care of ourselves. We've made ourselves a priority. You've started incorporating fitness, nutrition as a part of Matt's lifestyle. How did Clean Eatz become a part of that?
So my automotive career ended. And so I was trying to find something I wanted to start my own business with.
Okay.
And I was getting a little long in the tooth, right? I was getting a little bit older. For me to hold, think about starting my own concept from the ground up, and then maybe really growing that into something such as what you guys have done, which I commend you for. I wanted to go in and find something proven because I am a very good business operator. Yeah. I have run a lot of businesses over the years. And so what I wanted to do is I just wanted to hit the ground running with a proven concept. So Candace, my partner, and I had gotten with one of the franchise, I'm going to call them consultants, right? Sure. They show you all these franchise opportunities, and they showed us refinishing of garage floors, right? Cleaning companies and some other stuff. And while he was showing us all that, a friend of Candace's said, hey, there's a concept called Clean Eatz. Said, I was in one in Columbus, Ohio, and I think it's something you guys should look at. And so we were going through that with this consultant, and we went down to Clean Eatz in Nashville, checked out their location down there, loved the concept, met the franchisors. They started this thing from a little bitty place in Wilmington, North Carolina. They had nothing. And they started from nothing, right, to build this thing up into, 114 locations that they have now. That really inspired me. That takes grit, right? And I think that Candace and I have grit. And I wanted to find somebody that had grit and, that really could, when the chips are down, can you fight? Can you fight through, the struggles and the difficulties of what it takes? And they had already done that. And I think that's something we wanted to follow in their footsteps as well. And so we had to break the franchise consultant's little heart because we said, we're not going with you. Yeah. I know you did all the work. We're actually going in this other direction. And, at Clean Eatz, we change lives. That is our mantra. And we really believe that. Simon Sinek said, find your why, right? And we found our why, which is we want to give back to the community, which is, giving back and donating for things and being part of the community, which is really important to Candace and I, giving to our employees, right? Giving them opportunities that they had never had before. And then, to our customers and really helping them with nutrition, information, giving them a really good environment to come into. There's a lot of places you can go in and you can order at the Clown's Mouth or you can do whatever you want. You can get food somewhere. We wanted to really give a good environment for our customers. So really giving back and changing lives is really what we wanted to do. And that was Clean Eatz really fit me and Candace personally, if you look at it from our health and wellness standpoint. Yeah. And then professionally, it really fit within our strengths as well. Yeah.
You put soul into it because you had experienced it before, and people feel soul. So I think, I know systems were in place, right? Like any franchise has great systems. That's why they last. But like even if you look at take the Patriots football, for example, like Yes, they had great systems, but look at the Patriots without Tom Brady. So I think it still takes the people that have the grit, have the determination, have the passion, want to see people succeed, pour into people daily, that has made it, what it is. Otherwise, it just would have been another restaurant that no one knew anything about. But it was because you said, no, you know what, I'm going to take this concept and I'm going to make it something that people desire. I'm going to make it something that employees want to show up every day and want to put soul into with me. And I'm going to educate everybody on this as well, because that's something that you guys do a great job of. You have your bulletin board of local businesses that are also going to help you get healthy. You have employees that check on you and ask if you need something as soon as you walk in the door. You have employees that know people by name, and and they know your order when they come in, and they educate you on new items. And I think that's a powerful component too. It's not just the system in place, it's the people that make the place. And I think that's something that I've seen over the years that has been very admirable, is watching the way that you guys incorporate that into your daily life.
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. I know one thing's for certain, that myself and a lot of people here in Louisville are very thankful that Candace's friend told you guys about Clean Eatz, because it is a wonderful place. And you talked about the team and giving them opportunities, and you talked about the soul. And I think it's a perfect segue into something I wanted to bring up, because I am a frequent flyer, right? I am in there 4 to 5 days a week, and I'm in there because the food fits my lifestyle. I'm in there because the food tastes great, right? Let's just be honest. It does. It tastes great. And then I'm in there because of the team and the environment that you guys have created. I know we've talked a little bit about it before, the customer experience, but when I walk in the door and Don is greeting me, when Kyle is greeting me, when Samantha or Candace or yourself, they all know my name. They know my kids' names. I was telling you earlier, my 6-year-old daughter, every night when we go to bed, I tell her I go to lunch, and I went to lunch at Clean Eatz, and she'll be like, "Did you see Matt? Did you see Kyle? What about Don? Is Don still at J-Town?" She knows. She knows Don's at J-Town. She'll ask about the girls, which is Samantha and Candace. And you guys have just created such a cool experience and environment there that it's like there is a soul to that place, my friend. And going back to business operator, there's a reason you and Candace were franchisees owners of the year, right? It's more than the operations, which you do really well. But talk a little bit about that customer experience and how you have put soul into the business.
So, as I was opening up Clean Eatz, I read something that said, it's easier to make your customers your friends than your friends your customers. And really, it has come to fruition, right? I know most of my customers by name a lot of times. Jeff Bezos, if you've ever watched Amazon or read anything about Amazon, he says that we are a customer-centric company. Yeah. That is all we care about, is the customer. And if you've ever ordered anything from Amazon, it's the easiest process there is. Click, click, click. I don't like it, send it back. Nobody ever calls you or sends you a nasty message. You can't do that, right? I've never had anything, right? We want to be a customer-centric company here in Louisville called Clean Eatz, right? We want to know the customers by name. We want to be part of the community. We want to help them. And it's really about the hospitality. I mean, customer service is, did you get your fork? Did you get your meal, right? Hospitality is, how did I make them feel? Did I make them feel like they want to go tell 10 and 20 people? They want to bring you on a podcast and tell as many people out there as you can, because this is what they do at Clean Eatz. This is how they make me feel. That's what we try to do every day with every customer that walks in the door. Have we been 100%? No. But we learn every day. We're about continual improvement. If we have an issue, we correct it on the spot. We figure out ways to work on our process every day to get that to where it's 100%, right? That's our goal. And we work on it every day, and we never stop. And that's our goal, is to be the best hospitality right now in the city of Louisville is our goal.
The big reality here is that's twofold, because if you change someone's life, they're going to be with you for the next 10, 15 years. They're going to continue coming back. They're going to tell their friends about you. And then all of a sudden, you're able to have a livelihood off of serving other people and literally changing someone's life, taking them from a point of, I know it sounds cliche, a point of no return or a point of unhealthy lifestyle, pushing themselves closer and closer to death's door, to all of a sudden living life to the fullest. And in turn, that helps you live life to the fullest because you're able to put food on your table, Clean Eatz food preferably on your table, and in return, live out your life's passion that you learned long ago because you first care before you serve. And I think that's a testimony to not only your journey, but then also the fact that you know that you change lives. Because if you believe in it yourself, that's one part of the equation. But if you are able to make other people believe in it, then that's the most powerful part of the equation, because that's how you can actually see lifelong change. So great job, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Change More Lives is our mission at the gym as well. And it's, we use fitness as that vehicle, and you guys use nutrition. And I think just synergistically, they are perfect. But let's circle back and let's tell the audience a little bit. I told you we were going to circle back to this part, but we know convenience makes it hard to eat healthy. We know busy schedules make it hard to eat healthy. We know sometimes what people think is healthy, which is just a plain old boiled piece of chicken and broccoli, doesn't taste good, which makes it hard to be healthy. So tell us a little bit about like Clean Eatz meals. I know you did that a little bit earlier, but like how you guys have changed some of the cooking processes to make more healthier when you were talking about the nuggets and the fries. Tell us about some of the quote unquote comfort meals that you make and how you've helped create a solution for people in Louisville to eat healthy, quickly, conveniently, and tasty.
Yeah, when you really look at the Clean Eatz concept of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to give a really good healthy option.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about that. But it has to be food that tastes good. And a lot of times I'll tell people, it's not just chicken, broccoli, and rice with as much sriracha sauce on it as you can choke it down, right? And I have a lot of people come with the first thing they walk in and say, what should I eat? I said, well, something you like, right? First off, go over here, check out our meals. Our grab and goes, we have 1,300 meals, over 70 different varieties. They start at $7.39. So you can, we have very basic meals with no allergens, right? So if you have, a lot of allergens, we can really accommodate some of the needs that you have. If people are gluten-free, they're, dairy-free, we have all our allergens listed. You can come and shop. I'm sure you can find things that you like to eat. So really trying to accommodate a lot of different lifestyles, whether you're, children that like to come in. I have adults that will come in, bring their children, and say, you can get 3 to 4 meals, right? We'll keep them in the freezer. You can even write their little name on it, right? So nobody else is eating their food. And they feel very special about that. So they get home from school, first thing you do is throw a Clean Eatz meal. They just got about 30 grams of protein. They got some really good carbohydrates, normally some veggies in there. The kids love the food, right? We got mac and cheese. It's a whole grain pasta with some of our house cheese sauce on it, right? Typically some low sodium cheese sauce that we make in house. We're going to have either some all white meat chicken. We'll have some brisket. We'll have some very lean bison on there. And we've got some, and really it's food you enjoy eating. It's comfort food you like to eat. We balance out the macros, so it's really going to fill you up, right? We have weekly meal plans. Now you can actually order meals in advance. They're sold fresh. It's no subscription, so we're not locking you in any contracts, and these are not introductory prices. There's a lot of companies out there will say, hey, $3.99 a meal, and for the first, couple of months, and then after it's $18.99, whatever it is a meal, right? We don't play any games with you, so we have meals as low as $6.99. It's the more you buy, the more you save. So you can order those online, come pick them up at the store. Very convenient. Just walk in, give us your name. We hand you your meals. Very simple. We have our cafe. So we have, flatbreads, healthy burgers, wraps, build your own bowl, protein smoothies, protein iced coffees in a quick service restaurant. I mean, you go out there and there's other locations you can go to, but we're going to give you something that's going to be whole foods. We're going to portion size it so it's the right amount of food. And you're going to feel, I have so many people that say, I really feel good after eating your food. I don't have that 2 o'clock crash in the afternoon. I don't have that blah feeling after I leave, right? He says, I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. We do catering. So if anybody ever has any catering needs, we can definitely accommodate that. And then we have a marketplace. And who doesn't like to have snacks, man? I'm a snacker, right? I'd have something sweet before I go to bed. Now, and I want to make healthier decisions. So we'll make, protein Buckeyes and energy balls. And we have something called Clean Crunch, right? And if you've never had our protein Muddy Buddies, man, that stuff's just so good. I give it out to samples at a lot of marketing events. There's a lot of people in Louisville that have tried it. But then we have protein PB&J sandwiches and cauliflower and whole wheat crust pizzas and empanadas and protein ice cream cookie sandwiches. So if you like to snack, you don't have to hate everything that you eat if you want to eat healthier, right? You can enjoy it, right? It can fill you up. And you can do that in a convenient setting, which is very affordable, $6.99, $7.39. Look at our cafe menu. Most of that stuff runs between $9 to $10. And so we're really just trying to hit on I'm trying to take all the excuses out, right? I'm trying to take all the excuses out, right? I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't know how. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Took all of those avenues that you just mentioned and you just crushed them all. I think that's why it's so easy for us in particular. We incorporate nutritional coaching as a part of our memberships at Results by Design. And oftentimes we get the teacher that it's very difficult to meal prep. It's very difficult to take food to school because they have to figure out how to, get 30 minutes off to themselves to eat. So you just meant people are like, I can't eat healthy because I don't like any of the way that the foods taste, but you just named them pretty much every food that I think I've ever had in my entire life. And what that does for people is it allows them, like you talked about, to have something readily available, and regardless of what their situation is, to be able to grab and go if they need to, or if they are like, I'd love to go out to eat with such and such friend and commune on Tuesdays. They have a cafe available. If they're unable to make meals on the weekends to take during the week, they have a meal prep service. So I think that's the big win there is not only are you helping people check things off the list as far as the excuses that we might make for ourselves on a daily basis, but you're meeting people exactly where they are when it comes to what their schedule looks like or the type of dining that they enjoy. And I think that's the key feature there is that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter what your food preferences are, no matter what your allergens or contraindications are, there is a way. There's a way and there's a better way, and you just need someone in your corner to say, hey, let me help you. I've been down this road before. Here's exactly how we help people, and we got you covered. Look around. Look at the frozen section. Look at the cafe, and look at online for some meal prep choices. We got your back, and all you got to do is just eat what you enjoy.
The value too. I don't think we can talk enough about that because, the reality is everything costs more these days. And you guys provide an incredible amount of value for the quality of food that you guys prepare and give to people. I eat out pretty regularly, for lunch almost every single day, right? And a lot of people might not think about that as me being a fitness coach and eating out a lot, but I'm able to do that because of places like Clean Eatz, right? And before there were some of those burrito places and stuff, but I like the bowl options where I can come over there and build my own thing. I can get 4 ounces or 6 ounces or 8 ounces of protein based on my needs, meeting people where they're at. Talk to us a little bit about the value of Clean Eatz and how you guys, how are you guys able to bring that to people?
Well, being part of a franchise, what that allows us to do is really work together as an entire team with the franchisor, the franchisees, and develop, what are the best quality products that we could put out there, right? What are the most economical we could put out, right? Because there's a fine, there's a balance between those two, right? And they have to be readily available, right? So if you can't always get the product, it's really expensive, right? and it's not a very good quality, well, nobody really wants to buy that, right? So we have to make sure we're hitting all three of those cylinders. And, when it comes down to it, looking at, we have a wonderful team that comes in every day. They just work so hard. They're building meals. They enjoy their job. And I think you feel that in the food a little bit. I know we're talking about value, but I think it's something in there that they're really trying to put together something quality for the team, for the customer, so that they can have the food that they want. If you want to come in and build a bowl, and I have some people like, today I don't eat carbs. Today I'm carbing up. I need extra protein today because I had a good workout, right? And you could come in and you can build that bowl, right? You can say, hey, and today I'm just gonna have a spinach base, and I don't want the carbohydrates. Or today's like, hey man, I really need some carbohydrates in my diet. And I also want the extra protein, it can get you 4, 6, 8 ounces of, a bison, which you can't get in a lot of places, right? And all white meat chicken, some shredded beef. We cook shrimp fresh. We have wild caught salmon you can get on there. And their veggies are always going to be fresh. There's no oils. We're not sauteing anything. We're going to steam those and really get you that good quality that it feels fresh, right? You enjoy eating it. It tastes good. And a lot of things that we try to season things with, fresh herbs, onions. We have some house-made sauces that we'll try to do, so we don't dump a bunch of sodium on the food. And my partner Candace and I talk a little bit about it, but we can't hardly go out to eat sometimes now because there's just so much sodium they put on the food. That it's just so salty a lot of times I can't eat it now that I've been eating Clean Eatz, which is a little bit healthier, fresher, type of food than what I was normally eating in the past. Yeah.
Once they're exposed to it, they don't go back. One of my favorite meals over there is the turkey burnt in Cuban. Man, oh my gosh, that's the best. With the sauce, I don't know how you guys do that, but and some sweet potato fries. And that's my meal that I'm like, okay, I know that I'm gonna get a few more carbs today, but I know it's a better choice than going out and having wings and fries from a restaurant somewhere. But I think the key thing there is that you're helping people mold a different mentality when it comes to their vision of what food is. Like you said, like people are gonna at some point say, I want a higher carb day because I feel low energy and I want to have a gigantic meal. Okay, we got you covered. Let's do some extra protein. We can do some extra carbs on the side. Whatever the case may be, you can build it for them, but you're helping them build a healthier relationship with food. And oftentimes people don't have that. We'll have people come and maybe they start with us with some fitness, and maybe they've gotten some things nutritionally going right, but at some point we have to overcome the obstacle of an unhealthy relationship with food that life has caused them. Maybe they were unhappy in their own skin at some point, and they thought food caused that. But rather it was the food that was readily available to them, and the way society didn't train them to know what true nutrition is and how to enjoy good foods. I wish there were more people that had that mindset, like a Clean Eatz and like what you've done with a Clean Eatz, to help people understand that there is a better way. Just like I feel the same way about fitness. Like there's so many people that get caught in this hamster wheel, right? And they think that they have to work as hard as they can and sweat dripping from the walls, slinging around a bunch of weights, and think that they're going to be successful. But when a coach is in your corner, they show you there's a better way. They help you feel better with your exercise, and then your exercise helps you go to do things outside of the gym. All of a sudden, you start to build a healthier relationship with fitness and movement. And I think that's the key ingredient with what you're doing with Clean Eatz. Like, your people are building a healthier relationship with food. Scott's children, whereas I had to overcome some obstacles because I was drinking, 2 or 3 sodas a day and having dinosaur chicken nuggets and fries with obscene amounts of ketchup. Scott's children are learning what it's like to have the same foods that their little friends are talking about. Oh, I had chicken nuggies and fries. Oh, so did I. But his kids are learning to have a healthy relationship with it because it's actually fueling their little bodies in a positive way.
Need a convenient option? You guys have got it. Need a tasty option? You guys have got it. Need value where you can basically get food for almost as cheap as you can make it yourself? you guys have got it. So tell the listeners, like, how can they get it? How can they learn more?
So you can go to cleaneatz.com. That is Clean Eats with a Z, okay, .com. Check out our website. We have two locations here in the Louisville area. We have one in Springhurst next to Dick's Sporting Goods at 3565 Springhurst Boulevard. Mm-hmm. We have a location in J-Town at 9545 Taylorsville Road next to Kingpin Lanes. I looked up, what was, J-Town on Wikipedia one time, and it's like, because I was going to open a business there. It's like, okay, so what are they known for? And the third thing on the list was Kingpin Lanes. So I think a lot of people know what that is. We're open 11 to 7 during the week, 11 to 3 on the weekends. You come in, and I'm confident that you're going to be greeted, that the team members are going to show you around. If you've never been in, they'll kind of tell you the offerings that we have. So that's where you can find us. That's our website. You can also go on Instagram and find us at Louisville KY or Jeffersontown KY. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. And, you'll actually see some success stories that we have on there. People losing weight, people getting off medications, lab results coming back. Last thing I would like to add is have people stop me on the street, stop me in the cafe, and they say, please don't go anywhere. We need Clean Eatz here in Louisville, Kentucky. I've lost weight, my labs are much better. And just, the success stories, we try to put those out on social media so that you can see those. Hopefully they inspire somebody else one day is what we really like to do. And that's kind of what we're doing to change lives.
Guys, I'm going to put all of his information in the show notes. If you would love to ask Matt any questions regarding Clean Eatz, what he does and what he recommends, feel free to reach out to him. Our information is going to be in the show notes as well. You can reach out to us at Live Healthy Louisville on Instagram, at Coach Scott Wilson. Is that right?
That's right.
On Instagram. And we would love to help answer your questions, or if you would like to see someone else just like Matt on, we're more than happy to help make that happen. You can email us, ryan@resultsbydesignfitness.com, and we can answer any questions. And we'll see you next time on Live Healthy Louisville.